Hey, it's Dan here. I made a couple changes to my channel. I had two playlists. One was a vlog, and the other one was life update. Which the two playlists could have gone together, but I got rid of it. Hopefully that cleans up some of the videos I had scattered around different places and whatnot, hopefully. But I've also been dealing with something personal. I shared it on Facebook about 2 months ago, but went through my Facebook and been pretty much been deleting past posts from the month before. So like now we're in November, I've gone through and deleted all the posts in October came, deleted September, and so on, just to clean up my Facebook because I had too much stuff on there. But there's a post that I have on Instagram that I accidentally deleted on Facebook. So I'll print that out and read that to you. But there just is, I was sexually abused as a child and growing up. Started at, as far as I know, the abuse started at 5. That's the earliest memories I have of it happening. And ended right around, like, I'd say a couple months before my 21st birthday, so roughly about 15 years thereabout, maybe a little over. So that's my, that's a short version of it. I have a playlist of that, my sexual abuse playlist, which you can feel free to check out, please, if you need or want to. Hopefully that will help someone. But anyway, I'm a lustful person as a result of that. I found that out. I realized that fairly quickly, fairly recently. And as you can tell, I'm not a really good talker, so please excuse me. But yeah, I've just been trying to deal with that, using AI to feed my sexual or lustful thoughts and stuff like that. At one, there was a short time where I was able to walk away from porn, and I did good for over 2 months, and then just recently I slipped and got out and made an OnlyFans account and bought a couple subscriptions and talked to a couple women. So I'm gonna count that as a relapse. So now I'm gonna start from scratch again, square one. I started going to church, which I absolutely love the church I go to. I love the pastor. I love the assistant pastor, which he's not really an assistant, he's a pastor, but there's the main pastor, and then there's a family life pastor, which he only deals generally deals with young families, stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, as I've been going to church and talking and being more open about my lustful thoughts and behavior, I've found out that I'm not alone, which makes me feel better because I can relate. But at the same time, I haven't asked anyone how they cope with not reacting or acting on the urges or behaviors, thoughts, what have you. I haven't gotten that far yet. And kind of don't want to because really none of my business anyway. But anyway, been seeing a lot of ads on Instagram about quitting porn, this and that. So I decided to investigate more. Found one that will send me videos every day in our email, but I'm not in the program or in the group. I just get emails sent to me every day or every so often, and I watch the videos for free. But I can't really afford to go to online groups, whether it be online or in person, really. But I am starting therapy on Wednesday, in-person therapy. And they do take my insurance, so that's good. And I've also, while watching the videos, went on Amazon and bought a couple books. One I want to read tonight is called Crush Your Excuses, The Power of Personal Accountability. And if you're anything like me, you don't know how to hold yourself accountable, and yeah. So I'm gonna start with a introduction. I read through it a little bit, but I want to read through it again. So, what is your normal reaction when something goes wrong? Do you make excuses, point fingers, or take responsibility? Would you rather blame someone else or play the victim? Do you say things like, I don't know, that's not my job, or I didn't have enough time? These responses are extremely common within a group setting, from husband to wife, regulators to business leaders, and government to ministries. It is important to point fingers at each other. These statements share one common ground. They use deflection instead of taking responsibility. It reminds me of the advice I was given many years ago after joining a large multinational corporation. A senior colleague told me to make sure the ball never drops in my court. If it ever does, quickly pass it back. In other words, he was telling me never to take responsibility for failure and find someone else to blame as quickly as possible. I'm guilty of that. I've been guilty of that. Failing to take personal responsibility is not a new phenomenon. It has been around since the beginning of time. There are many reasons for this type of behavior. A blame culture in society and the workplace, ignorance and fear of reprisals, to name a few. Failing to take personal responsibility can have a significant negative impact on our own lives and the lives of those around us. Now I want to pause here because this part I'm about to read reminds me of what Paul said in 1 Corinthians. Says, blame means to find fault with and when you tell someone there is something wrong with them. It is a form of shaming. That right there reminds me of what Paul said in 1 Corinthians. I haven't gotten that far in the Bible yet. I'm still in Exodus myself, but the church, we've been going over Corinthians, and Paul said, judge someone with love and kindness, like point out their flaws, tell them how their flaws affect everyone around them, and then offer correction in a loving way. This kind of reminds me of that, so I thought that was interesting. So I'll continue. And this is one of the main reasons why people would rather deflect the blame from themselves. After all, no one wants to feel as if they are not good enough. The culture of blame is a vicious cycle because wherever it exists, fear is also present. And people will go to great lengths to cover up their mistakes. Blame affects the flow of information. Blame affects the flow of information and creates a false perception of the current reality. One of the major consequences of this is that it becomes difficult to solve problems effectively. Blame provides false solutions to complex issues and does not foster learning or improvement. Personal accountability is at the root of personal empowerment. It is a reflection of your level of integrity. It means that instead of pointing fingers, you've got to look within for answers. You've got to look at the face that stares back at you in the mirror every morning. Which reminds me of saying, I don't know who it's by, but it goes like, if something makes you angry, don't ask why that makes you angry. Ask yourself why you're angry at that. And that's what that reminds me of. I just lost my place. You've got to look at the face that stares back at you in the mirror every morning. The majority of people either find it difficult to or don't know how to become personally accountable for their actions. In this book, I will teach you how to take control of your life so that you can break free from limitations you have placed on yourself as a result of failing to take responsibility for your circumstances. Exactly 10 years ago, my life was completely stagnant in my 20s. I had set several goals that I had hoped to achieve by the age of 30. But by the age of 30, I had achieved none of them. I was frustrated with life, depressed, angry, hated my job, and couldn't see any way out of the hell I was living in. Fortunately, things began to turn around for me after a chance encounter with a man named Joseph at my father's care home. While I was sitting outside waiting for the nurse to finish seeing my dad, I sat on a bench next to Joseph and he began to tell me his life story. He married a woman he was never attracted to and didn't like very much. He had 3 girls, and they all grew up to look look, and act exactly like their mother. So he didn't have much love for them either. Harsh, but okay. He had a very successful career as an engineer, but he was never passionate about it. Their job was simply the easiest way to take care of his family. What he desired more than anything else was to become a musician. He played the guitar and was a member of a band in his late teens. But his father was an engineer and told him that under no circumstances was he ever going to become a musician. That he was going to follow in his footsteps and get into an honorable profession that would enable him to take care of his family. And so that's exactly what he did. When I met Joseph, he was reaching the end of an unfulfilled life. He lived unhappy, and he had accepted that he was going to die unhappy. He gave me one piece of advice. Son, take responsibility for your life and never allow anyone, not even your own parents, to steer you in a direction you don't want to go. A week later, I went back to the home to visit my dad, and I asked him about Joseph. He told me that Joseph had died peacefully in his sleep the day after my last visit. I had only met Joseph once, but I was heartbroken at his death. Not because he died, but because he died full. He was full of dreams he had never fulfilled. It was at that moment I decided I was going to do everything in my power to live the life of my dreams. And my first step was to take personal accountability for the life I had lived so far. I had to face the fact that I hadn't achieved my goals because I had failed to take action. My favorite saying has always been, "I will do it tomorrow." Well, a day turned into a week turned into a month into a year, and the years just kept on piling up. Once I had accepted the part I had played in my own demise, I stopped blaming my wife and children, my parents, my job, and I blamed myself. As difficult as it was for me to face this reality, it led me to the conclusion that if I had the power to take responsibility for my failure, I also had the power to take responsibility for my success, and that is exactly what I did. Today, I am living a life bigger than my wildest dreams. My marriage is stronger than ever. My children are happy, and I wake up every morning with joy, energy, and excitement, and in anticipation of the things that lie ahead. When you get serious about taking ownership of your life, you will experience several proven benefits that are as follows. Healthier relationships. One study found that personal accountability leads to healthier relationships with family, friends, and colleagues. The same study who discovered that children who were taught to take personal responsibility for their actions experience better social interactions builds trust. Not only does personal accountability build trust with others, it also helps to establish trust with yourself. When you follow through with people and do what you say you are going to do, you become a reliable parent, colleague, partner, friend, etc. there's a strong connection between self-doubt, respect, and trust. Think about it. How many times, no matter how small, have you promised yourself you would do something but failed to follow through? For me, that would be quite often. I do that on a regular basis. Or how many times have you refused to take ownership of the results when something didn't work out as expected? The more you do this, the harder it becomes to trust yourself. When there is no trust, there is no respect. Without respect, there's no belief. And when you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to take positive action towards anything. Very true. Increased productivity? Yeah. When you hold yourself personally accountable for your actions, you endure that you know what needs to be done to get to complete a task. As a result, you have increased awareness of where you are, and you are more focused. Personal accountability will also ensure that you don't commit to things you don't have time for. When you know what you need to do, you are not going to take on other projects and overwhelm yourself. It eliminates procrastination because we typically procrastinate when we play the blame game or harbor a fear of failure, signs of lacking personal accountability. Yeah. I procrastinated on reading this book. I bought it 2 days ago, and I'm just now reading it. Because I was busy with my own selfish, lustful needs or wants and desires instead of having to do what I wanted to do in the first place. And then fourth point, decreased stress. Linda Galindo, the author of The 85% Solution, How Personal Accountability Guarantees Success, mentions that one of the main reasons for chronic stress is a lack of personal accountability. It wastes our time, drains out productivity, and makes us less satisfied with ourselves, our relationship, and our jobs. When we are personally accountable, we have less worry and less stress because we have taken control of our lives. When you know that you haven't put your best efforts forward and things don't go according to plan, instead of allowing it to derail you, you own up to your mistakes, learn from them, and keep moving. And keep it moving. We are only into the second month of 2020, and we have already experienced several terrible tragedies. The most shocking so far being the death of 41-year-old Kobe Bryant. May he rest in peace, and his daughter and everyone on that helicopter as well. And his daughter and 7 others in the helicopter that I mentioned. May they all rest in peace. I hope they're at peace. It really is. These deaths reminded us that life is like a vapor. One minute you see it, the next it's gone. Not only was Kobe Bryant famous for his impeccable skills on the basketball court, he was a phenomenal father and husband, and he gave back to his community in a big way. I also read that he also had missed, I think it was 14,000 shots, I think. So, that's an interesting fact. He achieved a level of mastery and excellence in the short time he was here that most of us never will in our lifetime. There is no doubt that he had a lot more to give. But what we can be sure of is that Kobe Bryant pushed himself to the limit every day. The point that I am trying to make is that life is too short, and you are either going to spend today blaming everyone else for your failures, or you are going to decide that today is the day you take responsibility for your life. Nobody is going to hand your desires to you on a plate. You've got to take what you want off the shelf of life. The only problem is that the shelf of life isn't at eye level. You can't just reach up and grab it. You've got to stretch yourself, step outside of your comfort zone, and climb to a high place. It has been a long journey. This didn't happen overnight. I tried and failed many times before I got it right. There are no shortcuts. You've got to take the long road, and without personal accountability, you will never make it. In this book, you will learn about the most important aspects of personal accountability and how you can effectively apply them to your life. Read and digest this information. Use this book as a guide to get you where you need to go. There is no time like the present. Start reading, start learning, and start applying. And that's the introduction to this book. It also says on the top that I forgot to mention, a self-discipline book on how to hold yourself accountable at work and in life, discipline your mind, and overcome victim mentality. Which I don't like to admit, but I do have a victim mentality because from my past, I'm trying to work past that. For the most part, I've forgiven my uncle. That's going to be a daily struggle for the rest of my life. But I'm getting there. I'll get there. But anyway, yeah, if you liked what you heard, like, subscribe, share the video, and feel free to leave your thoughts and opinions down below. And I'll do chapter 1 tomorrow. God bless. Have a good day. Or good night whenever you watch this video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.